All right, so I'm going to do a demo on how to make our Memorial Day poppies. So here are a couple that I made earlier. You can kind of see they're all going to be unique and be shaped just a little bit differently. So I'm going to get started. So you guys should have this template. I linked it on the choice board project. If you have a printer to print it, great. If not, you can also just blow it up on your screen and trace it on your Chromebook. Make sure if you do trace it from your Chromebook, I want you to see the size. It's at least 6 inches. It's a little bit wider than my hand, so make sure they need to be pretty big. Okay, so like I said, if you are blowing it up on your Chromebook and tracing it, it should be wider than your hand. I would say about 6 inches. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, and I already cut my templates out. One of the things that I did not put on there is you're gonna need also just a little circle about 1/4 size, but you can also just use a ball of clay for that. So go ahead and wedge your clay. If it's fresh clay, you don't have to, but if it's clay that you've previously used, make sure that you wedge it and get all the air bubbles out of it. I'm gonna go ahead and just press it flat with my hand. If you're working from home, you're gonna need to put something on either side, so you can use 2 rulers, you can use 2 plastic hangers. If you are working here in class, during hybrid, you will have 2 dowels in your box that you will be able to use. A little trick, if your clay is a little bit wet, what you're gonna do is put your clay on one side of the canvas and then fold the canvas over and go ahead and roll it out. The dowels are helping to keep your clay even thickness. That is the thickness that we want for our clay. If you need to move the dowels down so that you can finish rolling out your clay, you can go ahead and do that. And you just want to check and make sure that you have enough clay for all of your pieces, which I do. Perfect. Okay. The next thing that you want to do is take your kidney tool, or if you have an at-home kit, you're going to use the little white like gift card, credit card, and we want to get rid of that canvas pattern on your clay. You can also flip it over and do the same to the other side. Don't press too hard when you're doing this, otherwise you're just going to press the canvas pattern back into the other side. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put down my template pieces and go ahead and cut these out. Remember, you will need to make 5 of these minimum. This will be an installation that we will be having on campus. And they don't have to be cut out perfectly. Remember, flowers are all unique. If you'd like to glue your template to a piece of cardboard, a thin piece of cardboard, like a cereal box, since you're going to be reusing it, that would be a tip that I would have. So I'm going to go ahead and take all the extra clay now. Take my templates off so they don't get too wet. Go ahead and ball up my extra clay and put it back in my bag so it does not dry out. All right, so now I have my poppies, the pieces. You want to go ahead and grab a bowl and a piece of paper towel. You want to make sure you have paper towel or plastic. You just want to make sure that your clay is not going to stick to your bowl. I'm going to very carefully peel these off so I don't rip them. This is my center part. Now remember, I said there's a couple ways you can do this. If you do not want to cut out a circle, another way that you can do a center is just get a piece of clay, ball it up, and then just go ahead and just press it flat. Make it about the same thickness as your flower. That's another way that you can do that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pinch the edges of our petals so that they're thinner. This also helps kind of put like a cool texture on the edges of the petals. You don't want the edges to be thick. This is how we do not want this. So go ahead and pinch those. And then I'm going to take my finger with a little bit of water and just make sure that I don't have any rough edges or cracks. Don't use a ton of water, otherwise your clay will get more soft and your petals will not stand up. I actually need to put my details onto my petals. So I'm going to take my needle tool. I'm going to lay it down pretty flat. I don't want to stand it up like this and do it because it cuts it and it makes it really sharp. So you want to go ahead and just lay it down. I'm not doing it very deep either. I don't want it very deep. Otherwise, when you go to bend your petals could break. And I like to use a variety of tools for this, just so that my lines are all a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and then I like to use a wood tool to do this too. Make sure it's nice and clean. Like I said, I like to have a little bit of variety, so not all of the lines are the same thickness. All right, awesome. Now go ahead and take your finger with a little bit of water. Make sure you don't have any chunks of clay or sharp edges, because once you bend your flower and put it all together, you're not going to be able to fix this. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to go to that step. So carefully lift up. You're going to go ahead and score just the center here and the center of this one. And I'm going to add a little bit of slip. Position it kind of where I want it there. I'm only going to push down in the center. If you want to, you can kind of bend your petals a little bit. You do not want these to stick together. And then I'm going to go ahead, these are my two pieces, you can use either one. I'm going to go ahead and slip and score this in the center. Press that nice and firmly. If you get extra slip there, I just use my brush to clean it up. Like I said, you can see my clay is not really wet. My hands are also not muddy. You can always keep a rag nearby, keep your hands wiped off. All right. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and add my patterns too. So I'm going to go ahead and use the end of a chopstick to create my patterns in the middle of my poppy. And I'm totally okay if you even do different sizes. Don't press them too deep. Makes it hard to glaze. That one in the middle is a little deep there, huh? All right, looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on starting to form and shape my poppy. Let's just try to pick this up. So now I'm just going to work on shaping my petals. If you curve them a little bit, they will stand up a little bit better. So you can see what I'm doing is kind of pushing in on the right and the left. And you can pinch the edges of the petals a little bit more too. Remember, they can all be a little bit different. And then I'm also going to work on shaping these ones underneath. There is, you can watch the artist shaping the poppies on the video that is attached to the choice board. So if you want to kind of see how they shape it. Like I said, I like to make the edges of them kind of wrinkly. You can see that this is pretty wet, so it's going to want to fall down. So I'm going to show you a little trick for that in a minute. And then I have my bowl here with my paper towel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set it into my bowl. And this will also help to support this while it's drying. If you want to, you can even slip and score a couple of your petals together if you want. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. I think that's pretty good. Like I said, they all can be a little bit unique, a little bit different. Forget to put a hole in the back, so you can use a chopstick or whatever, but you need to make sure, don't poke the hole all the way through, but you need to have a hole for us to be able to put a stick or a wire in to display the poppies. All right. And that's how I'm going to leave it. And then I'll probably put it out in the sun for just a little bit. Make sure that you take your finger with some water and you make sure that you do not have any sharp edges on any of your poppies. And then you will bring these all to school. Make sure you package them up very carefully when you bring them to school. Use some shredded paper or some grocery bags. And then we will fire these and we will glaze them, and they will be on display here at school for Memorial Day.